If you've spent any time around a middle schooler lately, you've probably heard it. The mysterious, slightly annoying, and utterly baffling phrase, 6, 7. It pops up everywhere, in text messages, on social media, whispered in hallways. Parents are scratching their heads, teachers are sighing, and kids are laughing hysterically. It seems like a brand new nonsensical inside joke that sprung up overnight. But what if I told you that this seemingly modern meme has a secret history? A history that doesn't just go back a few years or even a few decades, but all the way back to medieval England. That's right, 6, 7 is not new. It's one of the oldest running gags in the English language. So grab your notebooks, because today we're diving deep into the incredible, centuries-old story of 6, 7. To understand where this all began, we have to travel back in time. Way back, we're talking about the 14th century, a time of knights, castles, and Geoffrey Chaucer, the father of English literature. The language spoken back then, Middle English, would sound pretty strange to us today. It was a fascinating mix of Old English, Norman French, and Latin. Words were spelled phonetically, and grammar was, let's say, a bit more flexible. In this linguistic melting pot, a new phrase started to emerge among the common folk. The phrase was 6s and 7s. Now, this might sound familiar, but its original meaning was quite specific. It came from the world of dice games, which were incredibly popular back then, from smoky taverns to royal courts. The most popular game was called Hazard. It was a complex game of chance. But the key thing to know is that throwing a 6 or a 7 was a risky, high-stakes move. It could lead to a huge win or a devastating loss. So, to be at 6s and 7s meant to be in a state of chaos, confusion, or disarray. It perfectly captured that feeling of gambling everything on a single, unpredictable roll of the dice. One of the earliest written records we have of this phrase comes from Chaucer himself. In his famous work, the Canterbury Tales, specifically in the Tale of Baron, he uses the phrase to describe a character in a state of utter confusion and risk. This shows that by the late 1300s, the expression was already common enough for a writer like Chaucer to use it and expect his audience to understand exactly what he meant. It was the medieval equivalent of saying someone's life was a total mess or that they were in a really tight spot. So, for centuries, at 6s and 7s remained a popular idiom in the English language. It described everything from a messy room to a disorganized government. Shakespeare used it. Charles Dickens used it. It was a staple of our language, a classic way to describe a state of confusion. But how did we get from its 6s and 7s to the simple, punchy 6-7 that kids are using today? This is where the story takes a modern, digital-age twist. The evolution from the full phrase to the shortened number form is a perfect example of how language adapts, especially in the internet era. Think about it. Think about it. We love abbreviations. Laughing out loud becomes LOL. I don't know, becomes ID. We shorten things to make communication faster and more efficient, especially in texting and on social media where brevity is key. The same thing happened with our medieval phrase at 6s and 7s was just too long for a quick, witty comeback. The first step in this transformation was likely the dropping of the at and in leaving just 6s, 7s. From there, it's a small leap to replace the words with the numbers themselves. 6s, 7s. This version started appearing in online forums and chat rooms in the early 2000s. It was a bit of an inside joke among gamers and tech-savvy users, a clever nod to the old idiom, but in a new, streamlined format. It was a way to say something was chaotic or broken without typing out the whole phrase. But the final transformation, the one that brought it into the mainstream middle school culture, was a dropping of the S. Why 6-7 instead of 6s, 7s? This is the genius of meme culture. The simplicity and the sheer randomness of 6-7 are what make it so funny to a younger generation. It's divorced from its original meaning. For most kids using it today, it doesn't mean chaos or confusion anymore. In fact, it doesn't really mean anything at all. And that's the point. The humor of 6-7 lies in its absurdity. It's a non sequitur, a conversational dead end. You ask your child, "Did you finish your homework?" They reply, 6-7. You ask, "What do you want for dinner?" They look at you with a straight face and say, 6-7. It's a way of being playful, of gently rebelling against the logic of adult conversation. It's an inside joke that parents and teachers are deliberately left out of, which, of course, makes it even more appealing to kids. It forges a sense of community and shared identity among them. If you get the joke, you're in the group. If you don't, you're an outsider. This phenomenon isn't new. Every generation has its own slang, its own secret codes that adults just don't understand. Think of 23 skidoo from the 1920s or groovy from the 1960s. These words and phrases serve a social purpose. They create a bond and distinguish one generation from the next. 6-7 is simply the latest in a long line of these generational linguistic markers. What's truly fascinating is how this particular phrase managed to have such a long and varied life. It started as a specific term in a medieval dice game, evolved into a common idiom for confusion, got shortened by the internet, and was finally reborn as a nonsensical meme for middle schoolers. The journey of 6-7 is a perfect microcosm of how language lives, breathes, and changes over time. It shows how words and phrases can be completely stripped of their original meaning and repurposed for entirely new social functions. It also highlights the power of meme culture in the 21st century. An idea can now spread across the globe in a matter of days, evolving and mutating as it goes. A kid in California can see a 6-7 meme on TikTok, share it with their friends, and within a week, kids in Florida and even in the UK are using it. The speed and scale of this cultural transmission are unprecedented. So, the next time you hear a kid say 6-7 and you feel that twinge of parental annoyance, take a moment to appreciate the incredible history behind those two little numbers. You're not just hearing a silly, meaningless phrase. You're hearing the echo of a medieval gambler, the pen of Geoffrey Chaucer, the wit of William Shakespeare, and the creative chaos of the internet all rolled into one. It's a direct linguistic link from the 14th century to the 21st. It's proof that while a lot has changed over the last 700 years, some things, like the joy of a good inside joke, are timeless. And who knows what 6-7 will mean 100 years from now? Language never stops evolving. So, there you have it. The secret history of the 6-7 meme. It's more than just kid speak. It's a piece of living history. What other modern slang do you think has a surprising origin? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the weird origin of 6-7, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time!